everyone.
Hey everyone, good morning.
Good morning. Welcome to Adobe Live. This is day 3 with Daniel Alegria. We're excited to have everyone in the chat. Thank you for joining us. This week we're doing UI UX design.
Yes.
And if you missed any of the previous streams, you can check them out on YouTube or Behance. Let's take a quick look at the schedule for this week's designers.
Sounds good.
So at 8:30 we had the Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge hosted by Kathleen Martin. And then at 9 we had Jackie Ho hosted by Howard Pinsky. And then at 11 we have Daniel Alegria hosted by me. And then at 1 we'll have Michael Crabtree hosted by Howard again. So be sure to stick around for that.
Absolutely.
And then today we actually don't have a daily challenge for XD, but we are doing portfolio reviews.
All right.
Which is super exciting.
Yes.
I love looking at people's portfolios.
Same here.
Yeah,
I do it a lot.
Yeah, me too.
It's part of the job.
Yeah. And it's a great way to get feedback and get inspiration by looking at other people's portfolios. So if you have some projects on Behance that you want to have us review, you can submit that on behance.net/live. And we can review them at the end of our stream, so
Yes,
definitely
absolutely.
get those in. And then we are also having another chat and win.
Yes.
For you all in the chat. You just have to be active, and you can win 100 free stickers from Sticker Mule, which is an awesome prize because stickers are amazing.
They fulfill my life in ways
Yes.
I can't really explain.
Yeah. So all you have to do is just be active in the chat. If you have any questions about design, definitely ask. Daniel will be happy to answer them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I'm super excited. Let's switch over to Daniel,
Okay.
and let's see what you have going for today.
Sure, exactly. So just to kind of wrap up where we were, or to kind of give a little summary, we're looking at an onboarding experience for a data visualization BI app. And so what we really wanted to focus on was, generally, these kind of applications are very complex. Not only are the apps themselves complex, but the space in which you have is also complex, right? Data analysis is something that very few people are really focused in doing, and there's a bottleneck there. And there's a lot of people who want to consume that insight, consume that data, but they need something that kind of help them along the way. So what we decided to do was focus on kind of the end business user rather than the analyst or the people that would be kind of more up funnel with the details of that. So in addition to that, we looked at creating a desktop first experience, which takes you down a very, very guided path to kind of help you build a profile as to who you are. So if I'm coming here, let's say I'm new to the job and new to the app, what can I do to kind of help, what can we do to help set that person up for success by both selecting their profile? And what I'll do is, to summarize this, I'll go ahead and just actually run where we are in terms of the prototype. So we have a splash screen that kind of introduces you to the app for front. We're able to sign in. We have the auto animate, basically bringing up the cards that allow you to select who you are. And this is going to be kind of predetermined by perhaps the admin or the organization at large, but you're going to be able to narrow it down very narrowly. And in this particular case, we're saying, well, look, we're looking at someone who's a researcher, and we're able to make that selection. This is a researcher who's more in line to like understanding insights about kind of scientific information, so whether it be atmospheric data, climate data, geology. And in this particular instance, we're going to kind of pick on climate data. And then we're basically going to launch them into Google-esque like metaphor. The reason why we route this way was one of our principles was approachability. And because, as I mentioned earlier, data space could be really, really complex. What's an easy metaphor and mental model for people to kind of get their heads around? And Google search is one of those very, very strong paradigms, right? Everyone knows what Google search is. You Google it, it's, you know, it's out there. In addition to that, we also wanted to leverage another really strong key consumer kind of metaphor, which was Pinterest pinboards. And so not only are you able to just get started by asking literally like natural language, what can I do? What can I see with my data? But I can see that on the pinboards below representing some of that data. So you have the best of both worlds there. You have the input and the output.
Nice.
And then what we're gonna do today is go a step further with this. Now we're going to take it from creating out the pinboards themselves, so you have an option of looking at what pinboards might be exciting for you, but we really want to focus on the search itself. So focusing on the search is going to take us to a result, a data visualization. And then we're going to also animate that data visualization. We're going to look at a 2017 and 2018 difference between, let's say, the amount of ice fallen in, let's say, the Antarctic. Right, so we can look at that data and see how that's trending and see what the outliers there are.
Nice, I'm excited to see that.
So we're gonna get started and just look at where we are currently. And we have a pinboard area that we have to flesh out a little bit. So I'm going to add these details real quick, and then we're going to go into plugging this to the next screen, which will be building up the visualizations. And a couple of things here, now that we have a few more details known and we've fleshed this out through different iterations, what I want to do is we've selected Museo Sans to really kind of be one of the major typefaces that's tied to the logo mark. So we have that here, Insightful, which again was thankfully given to us by one of the participants on.
Yes, thank you for submitting that name.
Exactly. I think it was also just really tethered into kind of what we were looking at.
Yeah.
But I'm going to make a change here. And again, it's really easy to make changes across the board, one time, one shot. If you look at the All Assets panel or the Assets panel, you can basically select, let's say, the card H1, which is selected here. Make sure nothing else is selected. And I'm going to go ahead and edit this real quick and select another typeface rather than Arial, just to add a nice contrast. I'm going to select Din in this particular case, if I can find it. There we go. Right there. There we go. Now everything kind of snaps to that, just as I intended. And I'm feeling good about that. I'm going to make a similar change for H3.
It's so nice that you can go on your assets panel and change any of the fonts if you decide later on that, oh, I don't like this, or maybe you're just starting out with a random font and you want to go and change it, and you can change everything that has those properties, so it's really nice and easy.
There we go. And that's what I wanted to stick for. And just the last change here. I'm going to put this at 9, or rather, we'll do that 10. And what I want to do is reduce this leading here. And that's feeling a little bit better. So now that's trickled across the board. You can see that everything that I've had that style applied to is now updated to that style change. So that's also affected my pinboards here, which is exactly what I wanted. And now we're going to actually add some information. We're going to go back to Adobe Stock.
Oh, yay.
And I want to look at data icons. A really great resource. And again, it's that ecosystem that you're really connected to when you look at all the different services that are offered by the cloud.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And we'll see what's in here. What I'm looking for in particular are things to represent the various types of reports that can be generated. There could be table reports, there could be pie charts, line charts, graph charts, things of that nature. And I can go ahead and make those myself, but I'm going to kind of accelerate and speed up the time that it would normally take.
Saves a lot of time.
Exactly. So what I want to do is find data chart, let's see, pie, and let's see how that works. I'm just trying to throw words together to see if it sticks here.
Ooh,
yeah, exactly what I'm looking for. Exactly, there's a lot. That's fantastic. So let's look here. I'm going to license this really quickly. And then that should then prompt me.
I feel like the search on Adobe Stock is like really smart because you can basically type in exactly what you need and they offer so many options.
Absolutely.
But on other types of like icon websites,
no.
It's like not what, if you type in pie chart, it'll be something completely different.
I agree.
And you'll just have to search through everything.
It could be rather hit or miss.
Yeah, exactly.
So here we go. I believe this is the one. I'm just going to open it up just to make sure. Oh, no, that's the wrong one. I went too quick. I did see it's right here. I'll just wait for this to load. Okay, so I'm going to close that real quick and go back and select the one that I had just downloaded. This is fantastic. This is kind of exactly what I was looking for. And again, because these are all vectors, what I'm going to do is just extract what I don't need. And I'm probably even going to change these colors. And I might do that in XD versus doing it in Illustrator.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is just get rid of the simplifier. So I know I want, these two are fantastic. This is exactly what I'm looking for. And a plot is another good representation, and a pie chart. So I'm going to do a round diagram. So these are the ones I don't need. And I'm just going to get rid of the ones I don't.
Nice.
So I'm going to pick these here, one by one. So the idea is to have really clear indicators, so we have a clear hierarchy of why these pinboards matter. So a couple of things. One, we want a strong title, right?
Yeah.
So this is Global Climate Report. I want to make sure that when I look at it, I know what type of data is in it. So we have that visual representation that we're just doing right now. And I'm gonna kind of bring this down in size and constrain it by using the lock.
So Assam was asking if you generated this pattern using an XD plugin or was it a pre-designed pattern? And I think
The pattern
you mean,
here?
yeah, I think that's what he means.
The
Let us know.
The pattern was, well, in part, the replication and tiling the pattern happened in XD through pre-grid, but the actual pattern itself was an Adobe stock item that was vectorized, and then we basically just tiled that across, using it for both the bottom element and the top element over here for the splash screen.
Yeah. And if you want to see a more detailed look about how Daniel did that, go to the day 1 video and you can watch the whole process of him doing that. And there's also an XD plugin to make patterns. Let me check what the name is called. It's called Pattern Maker.
Yeah,
so
Pattern Maker.
basically, yeah,
Very direct.
You can, if you have any objects or shapes or anything that you create, you can select it and then it'll make a pattern, and you can customize like how many columns or rows, and it's a really cool tool to use if you want to make a pattern similar to that.
Just want to make sure that I'm looking at my margins, 16, and this is off, I believe, so I'm gonna pull that in. There we go, 16. I'm going to pull in another asset here from Illustrator. And I'm going to do the round diagram. And I'm going to go to 42, or yes, 42. Okay, so one thing I just noticed that generally you want to take note of when scaling from Illustrator to XD is that if you were to constrain the actual object, which I have here, you can definitely use the handles to scale up and down, and that works perfectly well. But at times, depending on the way Illustrator or the asset was created in Illustrator prior, if you actually try to change it in the numerical panel, you'll get this crossover because it's actually trying to constrain it within the bounds of the area. And they preserve the actual original shapes within. So that's a good little thing to note. So we're gonna go ahead and make sure that this is gonna come down to 42 again. And then from this point, I can actually then round it down. And again, I'm just getting rid of these annoying decimals. So then I wanted this one here. And remember, yesterday I spoke about the kind of proportions that are kind of both numerical and optical, right? So this is an example where not necessarily the way in which these are being scaled are always going to fit within the same bounds. So you're going to generally want to, in production, make sure you have an affordance that's always consistent. So if this is going to be a 48 by 48 square, but your internal object can be what it needs to be to have optical alignment across the entire board. Again, smart guys are helping me make sure that everything is aligned. So there we go. And then let's group this object and then align it to the card. Fantastic. And then we might want to have a call out because, again, in a lot of pin boards that have a lot of reporting, it's common to have more than just one data source, one data representation. So I want to have another object. So I'm going to bring in just a really simple element. I'm going to have my circle, I'm going to hold shift and have another element that's about 42 by 42, just directly underneath. And this is going to be a catch-all for telling me how many more items are in this pin board. So I have a quick way to assess that.
Nice. Sumaya is asking, what is an ideal size of a button for responsive design?
An ideal size. So if you're looking about mobile to desktop, generally the sizes you want to be hitting at is no smaller than 42 pixels and 48 depending on the object, or at least the affordance around it is what is ideal. Now you can get smaller depending on where those items are. So you can get into, let's say, something like 32 pixels. But again, you need to have enough affordance, enough margin around it so that if you're tapping on an object with your phone versus you want more high density on desktop, you can kind of scale that, that ratio.
Okay, yeah.
So I'm gonna add a number here. This is gonna be, let's say there's 12 additional charts in this. block this back out. So I'm gonna have this be 12. Put this to be bold. I'm gonna change the fill color to white. There we go. And this, I wanted to bring in a person, so I'm just gonna find someone real quick, just a photo. So now I can go here and just like headshot people. I should get a bunch of options. No shortage of them. There we go.
There's also an XD plugin you can use to get headshots called.
Oh, how about we use that?
Double check the name. UI Faces. So
UI Faces.
It's a really awesome tool to use if you don't want to spend time like searching for a headshot, because that can take up some time. But this one's really easy, and you can there's like settings or preferences you can select.
Right here.
Yeah. So you can select any of the source that you want. I do like Unsplash or I don't know.
There you go.
And then you can decide the age range,
Let's
the
go
gender.
a little older here. Let's start at 25 to 40. That sounds good to me.
Yeah.
And let's see if we can apply faces. Fantastic.
Yay.
One selected. And this is kind of a social proof. Oh, by the way, I'm just double clicking in. If I noticed here that the crop is not exactly what I want, just drill in by double clicking, and then you get basically the mask exposed, and you pull that in. And now I'm having her face here. And the reason I'm doing this is I want to have social proof as to who this individual is that created it. It might be someone important in my organization. So I go, oh, this is Sarah, this is Bob, this is Phil, or there's someone that's on my team who's created this report. That's fantastic, right?
Yeah.
So now I'm going to make sure that I'm going to do a few other things here that we didn't do yesterday, just to finish this out. I don't think we need the actual report date. We just say this is March. So I'm, again, going to simplicity. And then I'm going to copy this as well, right align this, and have this as the person's name. So this would be, let's say her name is Sylvia, and J as her initial. I'm going to cap that, and make sure these are aligned as they are. Okay, 16, have that. I'm going to group that temporarily, have this aligned here. There we go. So now we have the basic construct, and now I'm going to basically ungroup the grid real quick to, actually first I'm going to kind of pull this down to show like you have more than one, but then I want to just get rid of a couple of elements because I don't need that many, right?
Yeah.
I want to just kind of make it feel like it's more like real life, like okay, that's how many items you have, right? And then this whole group literally could be replicated and then brought down and brought into a distance of 68. There we go. And instead of pinboards, these will be more answers themselves about the data that I'm more likely inquiring about. So now I have this particular handle here. If I wanted to prototype, there's a couple things that I can do here. One, you've already noticed that in this particular handle, I have an area where I can actually start scrolling, which is fantastic because if I actually go back into my prototype, you can see here that, oh great, it works just the way I want it to. But I'm gonna also wanna lock that header. But before I get to doing any of that, I'm gonna design the last screen that we really wanna look at, which is that visualization screen.
Nice.
So I'm gonna duplicate that artboard. So this is the home page. So now I want a answer, visualization. I'm just going to change this because it's no longer artboarding.
So this next page is going to be when the user clicks on one of the pinboards, and then.
Yes, and we can do a couple things in this. We can say basically, is it from the pinboard and you get that answer, or is it from search and someone's typing something out?
Oh,
and we can basically determine how we want to play with that, right?
Okay.
So it could be either and or. And one other thing that I want to do here is just look at the treatment that I'm doing for my type. There we go. And I'm going to increase the height of this to 32. There we go, a little more contrast. Actually, maybe that goes to 30. Oops, not 39, 30. So I just wanted this for a couple of elements. I really just wanted the background, the header, and all these elements. I don't really need these pieces yet. But what I really want to do is now start to create a surface where I can have that answer displayed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a standard chart that's going to have an X, Y, and then we're going to have plot it, pass along that, and then track that against like the 2017 data and the 2018 data.
Cool. I love to see the animations with like data and like those graphs. That auto animate can make them look really cool.
Yes.
And more exciting than looking at data would be.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sorry, so I'm gonna continue here. Just make sure that I get closer. And just basically making the construct of the graph itself. So I'm just making sure that I have the boundary of that element. I'm gonna group these together real quick. And I'm gonna get rid of search for right now, because what I wanna do essentially is bring in my H1, not for the card, but for my canvas. Oops. Oh, wait a minute. Make sure my layers are all good. There we go. Let's see, put on H2.
I think you might have to type something and then click on the character cell and it'll just change it.
Let's just like that. And then we can go, oh, wait a minute. So let's type out what we want this to be called. This is going to be, let's say, an Arctic. Spelling it would be good too. Snowfall trends. So that would be the name of the data visualization. And I'm going to quickly figure out why I spelled that wrong.
I think there's a C missing.
Antarctic. That's not the right word that I want. Let's do something simpler. Let's do Denali, which is a mountain range in Alaska. So Alaska, Denali. My Achilles Hills is spelling, just to let everyone know. Please don't judge.
There's no judgment here.
And then I want to reference when this report was done. So this report was generated on, let's say, December. Or let's make it recent, actually, February 1st, 2019. And then we can just make this the smaller card. We can make this one H3 here.
Oh, Giovanni just said Antarctic.
Antarctic, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Sometimes it's just easier to change the word to something else.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
And what I want to do is I'm going to pull in a couple of things real quick. I'm going to flesh this out with a header element, just so I have, let's see, this is where data will be. And I'm going to use my repeat grid. And these are just going to be my data tabs that I want. I'm going to turn it on. And I don't need that many, I just need 4. And let's stretch this out. Say about 72. There we go. And then that's all I need. And this will be data. This will be answers. This will be pinboards, and this will be sorry, don't need this one after all. And these are going to be main navigation for me, essentially. I don't think I need that right now, but these are just main navigation for wayfinding. 70. There we go. I'm going to group these together real quick. Make sure they're aligned. Okay, they are. One group. And we'll adjust that a little bit later, but we can take all these elements and just make sure they're replicated in the actual homepage screen. So now we're going to actually have some fun with the data visualization itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the amount of snowfall on the left, and this is going to be across time. So this is the amount, and this is across time. So this is going to be starting with months. So I'm going to start with just January. And same thing, I'm going to use the reprint grid because I'm going to basically want to have the entire year. So I want to make sure I have 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12. All right, so I went a little overboard, which is fine, not a problem. I want to make sure this goes all the way across. 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, yes. And then so, let's make sure it's spaced out enough because I'm going to need some space for each of the things to plot against. And this is perhaps too big a typeface. And I wanted to have enough weight to it so it can be seen later. Now I'm going to ungroup this grid. And then just really quickly put in all the months. And I could have had this like in a text array and then just snapped it to the repeat grid, but we're just doing it a little faster.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna have this plotted, and then we're gonna look at how much. So we're gonna have a huge range that we can kind of map against. All right, so now we have all those elements together. Fantastic. Group those. And now what I want to do is make sure that I have a little bit of a understanding of what this is. So this is against months, and we'll change the typeface for everything. I'm just going to get basically everything set up, and this is going to be amount of snowfall per, let's say, square foot. And I'm simply going to take this asset and spin it on its head and put it over here. Then I'm going to basically do, oops, 180. Or I could just basically flip it. There we go. Oh, wrong flip. It was 180. Yeah. There we go. Let's go. Whoa.
I think if you change it to the paragraph box, you
I can have the handle.
Have the
handle.
Yeah. Like turn. Yeah.
There we go. And somewhere I added something I didn't want to add, which was the underline. So let's go do that. There you go. And now this is going to be in numerical format. So I'm going to go in increments of like, 1,000 essentially.
Oh, okay.
Let's just go deep.
Yeah, I was thinking like 10.
10?
But
We can go 100. How about 100?
Yeah.
We'll go in hundreds.
Ooh, it's chat and win time.
All right, chat and win time.
Yay! So if you're in the chat, let us know where you're watching from because that's always fun to read. So type away, let us know where you're watching from, and you can have a chance to win 100 free stickers from Sticker Mule, and we will be right back. Yay, we're back.
Everyone. Yes.
Ooh, so we have Columbus, Ohio, Chicago, Durham, Connecticut, Sweden, Missouri.
All over.
Ooh, Indianapolis,
Argentina.
Toronto,
All right.
New York, Oregon.
That's a lot of time zones, that's all I gotta say.
Yeah. Australia, Serbia, France. Oh my God, there's people from all over the world. This
all
is
over.
Awesome.
Romania.
Miami.
Hey, San Jose, a neighbor to us.
Oh, San Jose. Woo! That's where I'm from.
Chile.
Nice.
All right, have family in Chile also.
Oh, that's so cool. Brazil, Utah, Florida, Argentina.
Thanks
Czech
for everyone
Republic.
for joining us.
Yeah,
fantastic.
thank you. This is so cool. Oh, we have a winner.
All right.
Eloy Vidal. Congratulations.
Congrats.
Yay.
All right.
You're going to be getting 100 free stickers from Sticker Mule. Thank you to everyone for participating in the chat. And if you didn't win, you can also get 10 stickers for $1, which is still an awesome deal. If you go to this link up here, and there'll be that deal for you. So
absolutely.
Yeah, awesome.
All right, so back to just creating this basic chart that we want to establish for the Denali snowfall trends for 2017 and 2018. And so what we're looking at now is making sure that we have a axis that's going to denote the actual snowfall per square feet. And so we're starting really small here. And so now what we're going to do is start to fill that in. So this is going to be 200 and so forth and so on. And if this was real, this would be based off of, you know, actual data that was coming in.
I think someone mentioned that it would be really cool to see actual data being imported into this chart.
Agreed.
Yeah.
There's a lot of public data sets that are available for a great variety of different things, like including Twitter, like Twitter stats and you know things of that nature. And what I'm going to do here is switch to 1000. So there we go. And I don't think I need, do I need, no, that's all I need. I'm gonna say, do I need the rest of this? So I'm gonna stretch this out a little bit. Sorry, I'm just getting my handle. Oh, do you know how to reverse the handle on this? I just drag down, but I want to drag up.
Drag
ascending orders from the top. And I want to do the other way around.
What I would do is like click on one of the elements, like double click, and then push the down button. And then it'll like create space at the top. But I don't know.
Oh, what I'm trying to do is limit the amount that I actually selected because I don't need that many, right? So I can't just do that.
Oh, I see what you mean.
But go ahead, we can play it this way.
You might have to ungroup it.
I might have to
delete it.
Okay, that's fine. No harm there, actually. And then, is there a way to just do what I want to do there?
There's no way to go out of a repeat grid and then back in.
Right.
But that would be so
An awesome feature.
Yeah. So you guys should vote on that. I don't know if that's already a thing on the user voice website, but
because that's what I want to do here essentially, right? Like I have this value. Actually, this value that's what was giving me the little issue here. See this one as actually 2, so I might have put in a value. There you go. That's why I was doing that. So yeah, I just want to, basically now evenly space these out, which it's almost doing because I'm using responsive resize.
Nice.
Let's see if we can go to manual and say we have a fixed height, and let's see here, it's still calculating. Let's see if we just do the basic one here. Oh, that works. Okay.
Yay.
So the responsive resize was looking at the relationship. So you saw those constraints, those little pink lines that were going around. All right. So we're getting somewhere with our basic construct. And I'm gonna move this over because obviously now we need to plot actually what that data is gonna look like. So I'm gonna create those basic elements right now. So I'm gonna go in here and start saying throughout time, looking at January, which is the end or near the end of winter, I want to have this slope that goes across, right? And then that's going to see a gradual change because let's say global warming. Everyone just needs to be aware of global warming. It's happening, and we're going to kind of just play it into it a little bit here. So I'm going to say this is going to be pretty high. I'm going to use this element over and over again. So I'm going to create one element here, and I'm going to round off the top. So I'm going to select again just the kind of areas where I want to taper in. So you can start seeing that. I'll zoom in a little more so everyone can see. Again, this goes clockwise. Again, thanks to another insight we got from one of the people watching, was that this is also directly correlated to the CSS way in which we go from left to right counterclockwise, or clockwise.
Clockwise, yeah.
And I just wanted a little bit of roundness, but of course I want to keep the bottom constraint flat the way it is currently. I am going to see if we can get away without not a border. But this color, I want to do something indicative of, we've been doing a lot of our color values here. So let's kind of be consistent with what we're doing. And then what I'm going to do is make sure that's aligned. And then I'm going going to then use Repeat Grid.
Nice.
And I created a graph.
Yeah, just like that.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, almost 12. There we go. Very close. And I should be able to snap it.
Yeah.
There we go. And I should be able to ungroup, and now I should be able to take all these values and move them in the direction that I want. So March coming down, April coming down. Let's say this is further, and then June way down. Let's say it leveled off. And now we're starting to actually visualize a trend here. And this is kind of exactly what I was looking for.
Cool.
And then I'm going to go ahead and add this to a symbol. So now if I make any changes to that, I can, and just have it replicate across the board. So this symbol should have taken the entire stack of symbols, am I correct? Oh, I should have created the symbol beforehand. That was my mistake. That's okay. We don't really need it right at the moment. So great, this is one state of the graph that we have currently. And it's pretty basic, so we're going to do a couple more things here to make it more or less what we feel like real graph should be.
Yeah.
So I'm going to create another element here. That's actually going to be very similar to the buttons that we have used in the past. So the buttons that we have here, we want to use that element to be able to create a drop-down menu.
Okay.
That's going to change it from 2017 to 2018.
Oh, nice.
But we'll ask a question. Do we think a drop-down for switching between two time spaces is the appropriate pattern?
Yeah.
Or should we actually have a switch that goes from 2017 to 2018?
I would imagine a switch or something, because I think that it would just be easier with one click, because if you do a drop down, you have to click and then look through.
Exactly.
And then click again, and then it'll switch. So
exactly. So that's what we're trying to get here, is making sure that you have the correct pattern use for the data you have. And again, since we only have, let's say in this particular instance, two years of data, and we're only going to see the difference between two sets, let's go ahead and switch to see that. And plus, then we also gives us the opportunity to animate that switch going from one state to the other.
True. Yeah, I feel like if there were more years, maybe a drop down would make more sense, but
not at this moment,
not
right?
at this moment, yeah.
I'm going to do a couple of things here just to make sure. So this is an element here. I'm going to group all this. I'm going to then make sure that this is centered, and it wasn't. I'm going to change the type a little later on. And I'm going to add a rectangle element here. I'm going to push this down using brackets. So Option bracket back. So that forces it all the way to the back, which is what I wanted to do. I'm going to change the fill color, and I want a little bit of separation here. Oops. And I'm going to give it a 40% opacity. Maybe 20. That's a little. There we go. I'll zoom in here. And it's not quite at the edge, so just make sure we get that. And I see a little disconnect between my line that I made before, so I'm just going to make sure I have that. So I'm going way in.
Yeah.
Just make sure that I have the right line, and it's this line, the one that is not coming on all the way over. Oh, there we go. Is it off grid? Oh, I see. It's because it's a decimal. There we go. So watch out for those decimals,
catch. Yeah.
just for those small little details. I'm going to bring this up a little bit. And we'll have that come up in size. And I actually wanted to center that beforehand. Yeah, we do good 18 as well. That's centered. We want to make sure that this is centered to this element. There we go. And that it's centered against this object and this object. So we're going to group. So we're just keeping things organized. So now this is a block. So that now I can just simply align to make sure that everything is in harmony. And that these numbers themselves will go up here. Just because 100 would be needing to be represented to some extent, and 900 is our limit or our extent. I'm still not liking this particular fill color. It's not working for me.
Maybe we can ask the chat what fill color would you choose for the months, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you have any suggestions, please let us know.
Please let us know.
And we can change the color.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to give it just an off tint because I just want a little bit of separation between the top elements. And let's see, I'm going to select all these elements real quick, and let's see. I'm going to keep it clean so there's no need for a border element to be in play here. And so we have a very basic element, and now let's go ahead and create the switcher tool that we need. I want to make this a very prominent element.
So Vinicius is suggesting blue, and then Grupo says, I think you should change the background.
Yes. Well, the background in here will change, so I'm going to actually do that right now. Just to get it. I'm just going to take this shape. So let's see. Behind this object. Just wanted to give it a little bit of lift. And I'm actually even thinking that now that we have such a strong axis, do we need any of these other elements? So I'm going to switch over to my layers and just kind of turn these things off. There you are. And see how that works. Yes.
Nice.
No need. So again, when you can, please, always remember to simplify. And you'll be amazed with what you don't really need to actually communicate properly and with intent. There's a little bit of difference there. There you go. Oh, I see. It's still carrying that element. So one more. What I like is that you can actually just get really granular if you want. Hold shift and get it pixel perfect. And then this element here, bump that up. All right.
Lucas sent a hex code, but I don't know what color that is. Maybe
Hex code.
6A286A.
Let's go ahead.
You can try it.
The code was
6A.
6A.
286A.
2A.
28.
2.
Sorry.
Oh, 6A, 2A.
28. Like the number 8.
And
then 6A.
Yeah, 6A, got it. Okay, it's like a off purple.
Yeah.
And because I have this element as 10% opacity, that's a little strong, so I think maybe we can take it down a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. And real quick, what I want to do is create the other data set now that we have this. So I'm just going to have this push down here. And this is visualizations for 2017. And this is going to be for 2018. And basically what I want to show is that there's been a significant change in the snowfall. So what I want to say is that there's going to be less snowfall rather than more snowfall.
Okay.
So I'm going to take these down and kind of invert what's happening. To show that there's been a significant reduction in snowfall.
Just a reminder, there's about 43 minutes left to get your portfolio submitted for the portfolio review at the towards the end of our stream. If you're on Behance, it'll be in the tab that says portfolio review, and there'll be a link that you can submit your portfolio, and Daniel and I will review it and give you feedback.
Yes, absolutely. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, really excited about that. So make sure to get those submitted so we can review them.
So even with just basic elements to kind of like see whether or not it's going to do what I want it to do, I can just easily just take this, go to prototype mode, and I know this is the object that's going to be the switcher essentially, and wire that directly here.
Nice.
I want to auto animate, and I want it to kind of bounce. I think let's do something a little different.
Ooh, okay.
You know? Let's do it over a slightly greater duration of time. Let's do maybe almost a second and see how that feels. A quick little tip, by the way. You can literally just tap on the artboard and it will trigger where you start playing, so you don't have to go all the way back.
The whole thing.
So I can scroll. I can pick this up if I wanted to. Oh, it still shows it black because that's not canvas size. Oh. All right. And one thing that we'll need to do here is bring this and bring it back. Same thing, and it auto, remembers all my settings.
Yeah.
So that's starting to work there.
Yeah. Maybe you can try snap or something.
Yeah, let's do
That
snap.
might be
The
cool.
bounce is
Yeah.
not great. And I just realized these objects are in different spaces, so we don't want that, because then it's going to take that as a meaningful change in where it's located, so I don't want that.
Danielle is suggesting to use a color from the logo.
Yes,
That's a good idea.
That's great.
Yeah.
We're going to actually do something else as well. We're going to quickly just take everything we have and take it up. So it gets a little above the fold here for us. And you were saying, how about snap?
Snap, yeah.
I'll have to do the same thing here. Yeah, let's see how that
Let's
goes.
try it.
So like, okay, snow falls. Yeah,
Ooh.
there we go.
Yeah, it looks cool.
Yeah. All right, so let's finish working on, and go back to Design tab, on the actual switch between 2017 and 2018. So first we'll need to actually have that written out, 2017. And actually we can keep that centered. 2018. Oops. There we go. And then what I want to make sure we do here, I'm going to add a little lift to this. So I'm going to add a shadow to this element. And I'm going to extend that shadow out a bit more. So I'm going to increase that to 6. And the blur amount, I'm going to increase that to 12. So it's a little more diffused and blurred out. I'm going to remove that border. And before, so I want to speak out loud, so catch me if I'm not doing that. So what I'm going to do is I started with this rectangle, and I really want to make this into a pill shape. So I can take this little inside handle that you can see each of these registers, which is a common affordance in a lot of the Adobe tools, and pull that in. As I start to pull it in, you can start to see that I now have a rounded element, which is what I was looking for. If you pull it all right in, it's going to kind of almost basically make it a perfect circle if that was a shape you made by yourself, right? You could have done 2 circles and a square. You could have done a lot of different ways, but this is one way to easily do it.
Yeah, I like using that. If I don't want to go over to manually enter a number, it's just easier to do it.
Absolutely. So then I'm going to take a line element here and make sure that there's a halfway point between this kind of pill object. And within that, I want to make sure that that's centered to these objects. So I'm just going to find 60, 65, so it's a little off. There we go. Oops, the other way around. There we go. A little bit of difference. There should be an even amount.
And what button are you pushing on the keyboard to show the constraints?
Oh, sorry, I'm using Option
Option?
to basically look at the distance between all relative objects around
Nice.
the key object that I have selected.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
Thank you.
Absolutely. There we go. Okay. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. I want to have this on-off value toggle. So now I want to make sure that it's clear what state is on. So I'm going to copy this object, duplicate that object, remove the shadow, and and go into the object itself and remove one side of it. Because essentially what I want to do is only have one side that's turned on. And I think there's actually, I could have just pulled these in, which is probably been a little easier, like so. There you go. Remove this one, and then make sure with my pen tool that I connected my object. Where's my object? There we go. There we go. Oh, it's behind it. This is what happens when you work white on white. So that's the weird shape that I was making. So let's go ahead and I'm gonna make sure that I don't do that. I'm just gonna pull this out real quick so I can actually see it on a canvas, or pull it out here so I can actually really see it. Okay. Yeah, so that's what I was looking for originally. I don't need that. That should allow me to not have that shit.
What I would do is put a rectangle and do like a mask.
Oh.
But you could also do that.
I could change the handles, yeah.
Nice. Now it looks easier, actually.
And I'm just gonna make sure this is a different color. So I'm gonna make sure that's key to whatever asset colors that we have. And that's like, yeah, that's exactly what I was looking to do.
Nice.
And I don't want to take it all the way down. I want to bring it up, which is going through my layers. There we go. And I can just take this in to there. Got to make sure these decimals are removed. There we go, so that's snapped. I'm going to inverse this out. Again, contrast is very important. So I know specifically that I'm in 2017. And so now I have a simple object that's going to allow me to switch between 2017 and 2018 within this graph. And what I'm going to do is make sure that, let's see, do we even need this element here to survive? Define it? It does help. Okay, so that's one object. I'm going to make sure I label it. Select, rather toggle. Okay, so that, don't need it. And basically, I'm going to just invert this. See if this works real quick. Ooh, but if I do that, okay, so I was just going to quickly flip it. But if I flip it, I'm concerned that when I start to animate it, it will actually take that rotation property, because that's generally what it would do between the two states.
It's probably true.
But we're going to be bold. We're going to experiment and see what happens here.
Well, we'll see.
Yes. There is a missing object here. Is it behind?
Oh, the line?
Yeah, I think the line wasn't grabbed in... Oh, yes, it wasn't part of that object. Yes, that's okay. Again, all you have to do is control and duplicate. Oops. Just paste, and it should paste right in place, right on top.
Yeah.
And now, without even doing anything other than that, if I go back and I...
Oh, we have to...
Sorry. Go to prototype and make sure...
We have to prototype that button.
Here we go. So we got 2017, 2018. Oh, because I created an extra artboard that I didn't need. There we go. And this is going to come back to here. Auto animate snap.
Ooh, kind of looks cool.
There we go.
Even the orange thing animates, which is cool.
Which is really cool. It has this little bouncy effect at the end, which actually I'm kind of digging.
Yeah, me too.
So now we have this graph with the Alaskan Denali snowfall trends. I want to clean up the design a little bit more here, just to make sure that we have some consistency with the rest of our design language that we started to establish, right? Really playful here, a lot of color, contrast going on, but you know, there's some pieces that we could do a little bit better job in doing, so I'm going to make that happen real quick. Since we have all these elements already using Reprint Grid, we can basically then go back here and say all these little blue wintry snow elements that we have here. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm still in. Gotta remember that. There we go. There we go. So that's just what I want to do. I want to get a little bit of these and make them a little more custom branded. Right? And this wasn't Reprint Grid, so it's okay.
It's okay. We don't have to.
Yeah, we don't have to go through all
of them. But if it
but
wasn't,
that's what I would do, is essentially make sure that that one element was either a symbol.
Sorry to interrupt you, but if you save that light blue color into your assets panel, you can edit the color, and then it should change all the colors.
All the colors, yes. So I should be able to
Maybe
do
we
that.
can try that and see. So yeah.
So now I just want to remember this one as well. I want to edit that. And this is the light blue. Boom.
Yay.
But I don't want it to be exactly that color.
Oh.
But I'm gonna shift it a little
change
bit. Yeah, I'm just gonna make it a little bit more brighter.
Nice.
There we go. Yeah.
Cool.
And even this blue, we can actually key to the blue that we have here, so we can do that real quick, which I do like.
Yeah.
So.
You can take the eyedropper on this one. So when you're editing, just click on the eyedropper and put it over this blue.
There we go.
Yeah.
Boom.
And then I'll change it. So.
There we go. So now things are feeling a little more cohesive from what we had in stock to what we have now currently.
Nice. Thiago is saying the button animation could be more fluid. Instead of flip the orange part, you could change only the shape.
Only the shape.
Yeah. Do you have any suggestions on
the button animation could be more fluid. Instead of flip the orange part, could change the only shape. So the orange would be.
So the orange wouldn't flip?
The orange wouldn't move.
Maybe.
He would want. He's saying to flip it, or flip the color. He's talking about maybe there's no animation. It's just a simple binary like.
Yeah. Maybe.
Yes, it totally could be that. Yes, I agree. So just kind of reviewing where we are. We have the onboarding experience. I'm selecting climate data as the thing that I want. I'm introduced to the dashboard with information that is relevant to me. And from this point, there is no hook yet because we haven't determined whether or not we want this to be a search or from a pinboard or answer.
Yeah.
And so let's go ahead and do that now. And for this, I'm going to make sure that we don't need all this yet. Let's see here. All right, so let's go ahead. Should we go through the search path or should we go through, let's say, pinboard? Search? Does that sound good?
Yeah. What do you think?
I think so, because then that will give us the opportunity to use the voice trigger.
Oh, yeah.
And what we're going to want to say is, can I see snowfall trends for Alaska Denali?
Yeah.
So what's fantastic, I'm going to zero in on this object and prototype. I'm going to move this over. I'm going to select voice, and now the command, I'm just going to write it out as I'm going to say it, right? So I'm going to say, again, natural language. The principle behind this particular exercise was approachable as being the key tenet. So we want to make sure that this is feeling like if I didn't know how to actually say the query, it doesn't matter, right? As long as the data has it supported, and I've already done all the onboarding to make sure that I have the right data, this should get me to what I want. So I just want to say snowfall trends for, let's say, Alaska. And let's say the only thing I find will be the Denali Ranch. So Alaska. And for this, I don't know if I necessarily want to auto-animate. I really just want to do a transition. And I don't want I just don't want to do any of those yet, and see how that, because I just want to preserve the state. Okay. So I've normally done this. I'm going to share it out there with my phone only and not desktop. So this is the first time I'm trying it with my desktop mic while we're being plugged in. So here we go. Oh, there's one other thing I forgot to do. So go in here. Let's make sure we have voice, snowfall, transition, preserve scroll. Okay, got it. And then I got that done. And it's just a space bar from what I recall.
So you hold the space bar and then say the
right.
voice.
Alaska needs to access the microphone first.
That was smart of XD.
There we go.
Yeah.
Alaska snowfall trends. Was that the string?
I think it was
Make sure I'm right.
Snowfall trends for Alaska.
There we go. Let's do it again. Snowfall trends for Alaska. Boom.
Ooh,
All
nice.
right. And then I can go here and see those 2 trends for the 2 years that I have it. All right.
Cool.
And then what I want to do is create this a little bit more fluid navigation experience, because right now we're locked into just one thing. Yeah. So what I want to do is make sure that from these 2 visualization states, we can go back to the original state. So I'm going to go back and prototype the answers. And that's going to come back to here. And I just want to transition. And for pinboards, I want it to do the same. That's fine. But no, sorry, not voice, just tap. And make sure the other one is tap as well. All right. And these 2 will be going back to the same thing. Tap, and tap. So now with that in mind, I should be able to go to the home page. I should be able to say, again, I'm going to forget the the trigger for this.
Yeah.
So
it's okay, I always forget to.
Yes. The one thing that I think would be really fantastic is in the commands is to have a list of variable commands that you could have.
Yeah.
So you can say a multitude of different things in different
it'll
ways. And it will know all those things mean this one trigger.
Yeah. Maybe in a future XD update they can get more.
Even if it's like a semicolon to break it up, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, that would be really helpful, because maybe not everyone would say the same thing.
Exactly. Because if I wanted to say, you know, Alaska snowfall trends instead of snowfall trends for Alaska, you know, that changes everything. Snowfall trends for Alaska. All right. Snowfall trends for Alaska. Boom. If I go back, it should bring me back to here. And we're good to go with that. Okay. So now there's a couple of things that we could do. I've noticed that the cards here have not replicated her name because, again, this wasn't a part of the original reprint grid. So always keep that in mind, right? Drink a little bit of water. Now, there's a couple things that we can add to this from an actions perspective. One is, it's great that we have the means to see this data, but most likely I'm gonna wanna do something with it. I'm gonna wanna share it, maybe pin it to my own homepage, various things like that. So let's go ahead and add up a couple of those affordances. And what I'm gonna do is do circle. And I'm gonna create an area right on top of the graph at 42. I'm not gonna need that border right now. And then I'm gonna go back to Adobe Stock, look for social media icons. I wanna make sure they're flat style too, so I'm gonna make sure I just say that up front. And I'm looking for a simple pin, and let's see, this is really small. Maybe I'm just gonna write it out. That's not, there we go, there's a pin there. A little off to what I want, but I can, if not, I'll probably just create it really simply. Yeah. because we want to at least be consistent. I want an icon pack that allows me to do all the other things that we have to build in, search and FAQ, for instance, for like general search, not like the search for data.
Yeah.
So I want to find a good pack that will kind of just get me everything I need in one fell swoop. So I want to see, maybe we do, let's see, standard website, icons, flat. And there's a whole bunch. Oh, here we go. There's a whole bunch to here. Yeah, that might work. We have search. We have, that's a map pin. Do we have, yeah, we have a pin. Okay. All right. All right, cool. Let's do this. Oh, I am not signed in. Ah. Yes, I am. I am signed in. Must be signed in to access this resource. Maybe I just need to
maybe refresh it.
Refresh it, yeah. Let's refresh. There we are. Let's see. There we go.
Yay,
You're
it
right.
worked.
There you go. Sometimes the simplest things are the solution. And as we wait for that download, we're going to basically just be selecting the components we need here. And these are very simple shapes, so I think they're actually knocked out, which is kind of an interesting take on it. Yeah.
That is cool.
But there's a couple of things that I want to be able to take here, actually. I want to be able to take a couple of components, again, because if I look at the data and the use cases that we're going to be looking at, I could do a couple of things. Like I said, pin to my own homepage. So I could call this report later. I want to be able to maybe share it to a colleague or share it externally outside the organization. And I might like it just to like it as the background understands that this is the kind of reporting that I enjoy. So there's 3 already that I think I want to leverage here. And the last one I'm probably going to use is both an edit and flag. So perhaps I can see information or data that's inaccurate about this, or that I want to actually go in here and look underneath this data and see what else is there, right? So we have a couple of requirements here. One that I would want to like, I'm just going to pull the ones that I want. Flag, pin,
so would the like be similar to the pin, or would that be a different
It's a different area.
Okay.
So liking it is just a passive way for the system to know that I've liked something in the system, where a pin is taking the object, that report, and putting it into the pinboard area that we previously designed. And so that's going to be starting to generate a personalized view of my own data.
So you can kind of save the ones that you like, I guess, on your pinboard.
Yes. Nice. So we're looking at different use cases and making sure that we have covered enough areas for common use cases that, you know, again, I may not be the one to edit this yet, but down the road, as I get more and more confident with the system, I can see myself wanting to edit it or drill down further. So like, pin, edit is a function, and I want to separate these into 2 classes, essentially. Be able to, flag is secondary, I want to be able to send as a primary, flag if necessary, that's second, and then edit. And then over here, I want to be able to pin. So I'm just going to like group that so I know that I have some organization up front. And we'll do spacing here real quick. So it is easy. Where's my spacing? There we go. Oh, not to DR. To selection. To selection. There you go. Okay, I should be able to copy paste right into what I want here. There we go. Bring these down. And of course, we're gonna have to invert these values because obviously they are white on a very, you know,
light background.
And I'm gonna ungroup now that I have these here. I'm gonna push these over to the side. I'm gonna change a lot of affordances as I'm starting to work with the space now.
There's about 18 minutes left to get your portfolio submitted for the portfolio review. All you have to do is on behance.net/live, there's going to be a portfolio review tab. and it'll have the information and the link where you can submit your portfolio, and Daniel and I can review it and give you feedback.
Absolutely.
So make sure to get those in.
So this wasn't snapping to the size that I wanted. That's close, but not close enough. There you go. Okay, and then we're going to take all these elements and do a quick reverse out and see if that works for blue. High contrast. And what's really great about this is these icons are pretty iconic in what they represent and mean, but not all icons do that, right?
Yeah,
There's a lot
true.
of work that goes in, especially for UI artists, UI designers. Spend a lot of time looking at symbology and looking at the various kind of the anatomy of the actual symbols themselves and discovering just how common it is. But I definitely would have in a real use case scenario at least a tooltip on hover for people to really kind of have,
so they
again,
know, like,
accessibility
what that
requirements. You want to make sure that even screen readers are able to read the elements
that's
behind
true.
it. So make sure that as you implement these objects and you're trying to attempt a simple approach, that you're still looking at all the other examples required for accessibility, compliance for those sorts of
Yeah, that's
things.
really important. Yassine is saying to try to put an orange shape behind the icons.
An orange shape.
Ooh.
An orange shape like...
A circle. Maybe like fill it with orange?
Is that what you
I don't know if that's what you mean.
You mean like that? I think if you put it with orange, I mean, unless you meant like a border, is that what you meant?
I think maybe she means an orange, and then, so like the transparent part would be orange. I think. I don't know if that's what you mean.
I understand what she's, okay,
like,
so
like the icon itself is orange.
Oh, so have inside, let's just do,
Yeah.
maybe if this is what's being, if this is what, if I'm correct, something like that?
Yeah, I think that's what Yassine was trying to say. Let us know.
Yes, that could work. Here, I'm gonna say that if we're going down that path, because the overall surface area of the circle itself is more dominant, more surface area, to the icon itself that's knocked out, it's going to suppress the visibility of that orange, and therefore at a distance, let's say, that's just way too much of a distance. If I go back to where I was, and is that 100%? You can see that I'm starting to lose definition on the little handle there.
Yeah.
Where that wasn't so much the case with the white. Again, it's not even white, but it's relying on the background. I could add a background value that is white, so I'm even increasing its clarity even more. You see how that's actually popping out a little bit more. And I can have that background shape in there, so if I do like a overlay effect, it goes from like on to off, so that you can see the state change between the hover states, right?
Yeah, true.
But great suggestions. These are all like,
thank you.
You know, a lot of this is, you know, looking at how to iterate as you move
Yeah,
along.
exactly.
And it's important to realize that, you know, you want to show things as messy sometimes before they've been polished, right? Like, it's not always a good practice, nor would I argue it is, for anyone to kind of hold precious their design or to not have it shared out, even if it's sketches, right? Like we were doing this the first day.
Yeah, the first day.
Sketch, even if I don't have a lot of time. Whatever you can do to best communicate the idea at any stage of the process is paramount, because then you bring more people a part of the process and the ultimate result changes because of it.
Yeah.
So we'll go ahead and do that just based off that comment that we heard.
Alfaka is saying it's better with a white or transparent icon because it's more clean.
More clean, okay. Just want to have a good spacing here. Here, come on, get over here. Okay. Let me grab that background, because I might do something with that in a second. I'm gonna push that to the back. Again, pushing to the back is real simple. It's just Command Shift and bracket left, or left bracket.
Left bracket.
I want these two as a shape and group them. and hold an option just to see my relative difference between the two. And because these are still on decimals, it's not going to be perfect, but I want about a 20 pixel difference between the two. That's a little bit too much. Actually, 16 would probably be better. That's 16. And make sure these are around that. That's 14, 16. There we go. And so one thing that I did note is that it's great for visibility that the toggle is as big as it is. And I'm going to add this little element part of that because I forgot to include it. And the same over here, which is just the divider line, which I thought.
Oh, it's not on.
Yeah, wait a minute. Let me make some. I think I know what happened. So I'm just going to really quickly check to see. See, now that we're doing that. Now we're doing to what the person was saying earlier.
Yeah.
Even though I thought just for a little, the bounce was kind of fun.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not gonna lie. Every once in a while, we love pragmatic approaches to things, but every once in a while, where's the personality, right? Now, data's not always the place for that, but
but this one insightful could be the place.
This could be the place.
Yeah.
And there's another thing that I want to do. I want to distinguish the difference in what these represent in terms of their hierarchy relatives. Like, I don't want all these to have equal weight. I believe that I want to promote more social engagement than the ability to edit your first time around. So I'm going to actually take this, and again, I wouldn't have actually known this unless I started to look at it within the context of the layout. I may have known it in, let's say, a task list of things that were in a hierarchical order. And if I stack rank that those elements, depending on the layout, things would change, right? I might want it left or I might want it right side of the layout. So now I just want to basically take all these elements, group them, take these elements, group them, and move this, snap this over here, and snap this over here. Okay. There we go. And I want to carry that over. And the one thing I want to do is I want to promote again, the social component, making it personalized for you or telling the system that this is what you like, and making this more secondary. So then, going back and creating kind of a hierarchy with color, I want to take this blue and knock it into, oops, wrong value. Kind of go into it because the shape I had selected. Into, well, that gray's a little too dark, but let's do a gray that's a little bit more down here. Like a 722 or 766. And see how that feels.
What does the flag represent?
That I'm flagging the content that I think there's an issue with it. Maybe I report the issue of it.
That's what I thought, and then I wasn't sure.
That's not really helping much. So I'm going to back out of that. And then just adjust what I want this little toggle to do. Make sure my toggles are the same. I'm going to go back to my layers and make sure the naming of these are the same toggle. And is this not called toggle anymore? No, it's not. Let's push that in there. And it's going to validate something real quick. Okay. Let's take these elements, copy it. There we go. So these are both called toggle now, but this is still grouped in something, so I don't need that. I'm just going back, making small tweaks. See, that's what it was.
Oh, okay.
So if I grouped it, it takes that object and allows me to do that. So I want to actually just revert back and undo the ungroup and go back to what the suggestion was. So now that should keep it the way it is. So those are like little shortcuts you can do to just like really short circuit some of the tweening relationships within the auto animate features. But again, it did exactly what I wanted it to do. But what I want to go ahead and do is actually just make this smaller. A little smaller than that, maybe 240. Yeah, there we go. These should be in the same space. I want to make sure. 936, yep. Yep, and we're gonna go back and test. Yes.
Nice.
So I can just easily scroll down, move these charts from one value to the next. Awesome. All right, I'm gonna save that. And I'm gonna resolve some of the pieces that we didn't really get to here. I feel like this is kind of a little bit, you know, wonky in the way that we're representing the visual. So I'm gonna experiment with a couple of things here. So we have the path for this background, which I can turn on and off. And here for this, you can argue that the background here may not be necessarily appropriate. So let's see how this looks on complete white within a gray background. So now I'm just gonna be kind of looking at the actual values themselves more deliberately. And let's say this shape here, knock it all the way back. Take off that border, make this a gray. To give it some break. Say it there. And let's highlight this guy, and let's hide him, not hide him, but hide the path. So now I'm gonna create a foundation for that particular element. Like I'm creating this as a central destination of sorts, if you will. And it's gotta make sure that this is aligned to the bottom. It is, but this chart here is a little off. I'm gonna find out why in a second. Because again, it's at a decimal.
Oh.
So we're gonna change that real quick. These decimals, they do get me.
I know.
There we go. And I know that's the same problem here, so I'm gonna quickly fix that. Yep, same thing. And I don't want this, so I'm gonna turn off that path. And then we say we're going to turn off him as well. I take this and just make sure we have a snap to the bottom. There we go. No longer want that background to be filled. We want it to be white. So contrast here diminishes a little bit with that change. But let's make sure that we didn't break anything along the way first. So everything is working still? All right, and so now what we can do here is just make sure that the typefaces that we have was not aligned, so we're going to make sure that we're going back and using our assets as well, and selecting. Let's do an H. Oops, wrong one. There you go. H2 for months. Make sure that's centered.
Jimmy is saying to make the graph look like a rising water level, so instead of the bars, make it look like water.
Make it look like water. Oh, hey, some visual metaphor.
Yeah. Or like snow. He just said snowfall trends. Yeah. I think that would be cool, and it's a good way to get creative with data. You can kind of change things, but yeah, make them look similar to snow. That would be fun.
So I'm going to create a different class here. This is going to be 20. And then I'm going to add a inclusive element here, just to add structure. And make sure that there's equal distance between the elements on top and the elements on bottom. Like that. Oh, there we go. Same thing here. So this was at 20, correct? Right there. I want to make sure, now that I lost that box, that's one thing I liked about that box that I had turned off just a second ago, is that it gave me the means to kind of snap it within this area rather than trying to eyeball it. I can turn it back on. But again, with the grid, or the guide, it does help me kind of approximate it within that space. So like that does kind of give me my indication. I'm going to take this to 50, or maybe even 25. So just want a little bit of a register. And then we'll take that same element and put it over here. And same thing, bring that up. So I know what my extents are, essentially, without having too much structure, right? Without having too much going on. And because this part now could literally have a lot more rich data. If we had a lot more time, we would be doing tables to support it or other components, like a index of what's going into that, essentially. But let's carry these over real quick over here.
There's about 3 minutes left to get your portfolio submitted.
Time's ticking.
Woo! Yeah, I'm excited to look at the portfolios.
I'm going to try something real quick here. I want to create a little bit more of a header element here. So I do want to give that a bit more weight and have a tier 1, tier 2 relationship within the content area, and then the body content also taking up that gray. So it's, you know, think about it as in a stack, you know, kind of like the Grand Canyon, right? Has these stacks. Each one has its specific meaning in the overall hierarchy and read of the actual site itself. And what I'm, you know, really want to emphasize here is look how fast we're able to make all these changes, right? Like I can literally just do this across artboards as well, so that I don't have to do it more than once. Any way you like to work is open for the workflow that's most relatable to you. Right? Actually, I can pull that down and pull this down a little bit more. Let's see here. And just now making all those changes happen over here. So just because I know I've been making a lot of small incremental changes, I'm just making sure that everything fits. So I'm going to make sure that I didn't change anything along the way. Excellent. Nice. So now we have a really clean graph, or chart rather, that's giving us an indication of what the snowfall trends have been for Alaska's Denali mountain range. I can see this happening across hundreds of feet, which is a significant amount of snowfall. But again, these are glaciers, right? Like we're in the Denali mountain ranges. It's not your average snowfall like in Seattle, like I have currently right now.
I think was it like 6 or 8 inches?
16.
16?
16.
Oh wow.
Yes, no one believes me when I say that.
I don't believe that. I think when I lived in Seattle, it snowed maybe like 3 inches, and that was like the most snow.
Excellent. So, okay, so we got these pieces going for us now. Should we see how to take one of these elements? Like, let's say how we take this particular interaction and see how we can use responsive resize to make it into a mobile version? All right. And before I go ahead and do that, just for anyone who's now either catching on to what we are doing here, just give a little bit of a kind of click through where we are, what we've done. So we have Insightful, which is an application that's centered around data visualization. You know, business insights for people who are not really accustomed to, you know, complex applications or workflows. And data is already inherently complex, so we want to basically create a welcoming, inviting, approachable system that's targeted persona-wise to the end business user rather than a data scientist or a business analyst. And so Insightful is that tool for you. You're going to basically type in your name, sign up. You're going to get presented with 2 simple options. The first option is, what is your daily role and responsibilities? I want to be able to see whether I'm a marketer, a salesperson, a researcher in this particular organization I'm in. If we don't know what the organization is, it's kind of this hand wave that. It could be any organization. But this particular person is a researcher within this company. And this person is going to select that. And now we have a means to validate what you selected, checkbox, You have the UI responding, so there's a feedback mechanism, so that you don't have to worry about like, oh, making the wrong decision. Again, we've narrowed it down to only 3 rather than a whole confluence of different options. If you don't see what you have here, again, this is also being informed by like your admin or the organization understanding who you are and what you're doing. And this is going to help fine tune what the tool gives you in response to that, right? So I've selected researcher. Now the tool has said, all right, or the application said, yes, okay, go ahead, make a selection. I have to pick one of these before I can move forward. So the one I really want to look at is climate data, which is what we've been looking at. So this is going to tell me, hey, this is the data that I'm really interested in. Now I can make that selection here. We get brought to the first initial kind of homepage of Insightful, where you have a kind of simple entry point where you can really just get started by, like Google, asking questions very naturally. And you can see a host of different data points that have been generated, so different pin boards or reports that people have pulled together. You can see who's pulled that together, when they've done that, what type of data may be in there through simple illustration and glyphs and different answers. And of course, we created a text trigger. That's going to fire out the voice trigger. Yeah, sorry. And just because it was now the snowfall trends.
Snowfall trends in Alaska.
There you go. Here we go. How about you try it? You want to try it?
Okay, yeah, I'll try. Snowfall trends in Alaska. Yay, it worked.
So now we're presented to snowfall trends in Alaska. We have our chart, and down we would have more information that would correlate to the particular graph we have in play. But we have 2 years of data that we can easily toggle to. We talk about the importance of having patterns speak to the right type of content that's being fed into them. So if you had, like, let's say 10 years of data, perhaps you would have a drop-down mechanic rather than a toggle. Or if you had a range, like a calendar picker, like you would for a travel airline or kind of an Expedia type of example, that would work if you had a lot more granular data you wanted to hone into. But this is really just looking at massive changes between 2 years and understanding that trend, right? We want to see it at a glance, make it simple. Again, going back to our to our principles. And we have a couple of call to actions. You can pin this to make it your own, put it into a homepage, which we saw earlier. Like it, just telling the system that this is data that you really appreciate and it's provided insight and value for you. And then, of course, you have the means to share this out to either a coworker or externally, maybe to someone else who's working at a university or a different organization. You can edit this, drill in if you need to further, or flag this because you've seen that data is obviously wrong. I may look at this and go, but no, there was obviously not that much December snowfall, I can go in there and change it, right?
Exactly.
So really looking at the specific use cases of all these particular, the particular user.
Cool. Yay, so it's actually time to review portfolios. Thank you to everyone who submitted. If your portfolio does not get chosen, you can still submit it during the next stream with Michael and Howard, and you can have a chance for them to review it and give you feedback.
Yes.
But Daniel and I are actually going to take a trip to space really fast.
Okay.
And we will be right back.
This is space.
We're back.
We're back.
That was really fast. Ooh.
Oh, great. There's oxygen in the cabin. That's good. That's good.
There's oxygen. I was worried. Okay, we are back from space and ready to look at your portfolios.
Absolutely.
So you can take these off. Yay. Thanks again for everyone who submitted your portfolios. So we can take a look. The first portfolio we have is from Pranshu Pranjal from Ghaziabad, India. Sorry if I said that wrong, but that's awesome. So he's a designer, diligent and conscientious worker, a tech enthusiast who can quit his comfort for the sake of what he intends to achieve.
All right, so dedication is what I'm hearing from this.
Me too.
A concise description of your personality.
Yeah. Nice. So this is an overview of his portfolio. Are there any projects?
Yes, I'm really interested to see what this is about here. I think it says Dev Space.
Dev Space.
And we were just in space, so I just kind of went there.
Ooh, this looks nice.
All right, so we have a brochure design.
I I like how he has it on the like mock-up of an actual
Absolutely.
brochure.
That's so important to place everything you're doing in context and to also create a narrative, which I think you're starting to do here, giving me a little bit more detail as to what are the contexts around this, to have it feel also just real, right?
Yeah,
Grounded.
it feels real. So this was designed for DevSpace, the largest student-organized developers conference in South India. Ooh, that's so cool.
All right.
I like the triangle instead of the A.
Yeah, it's a little modification on just the typeface so that it
looks nice.
A little more unique and you can own that.
Yeah. Nice. Ooh.
Interesting.
About us.
I would say that there's a interesting relationship in terms of your photography, the colors you're using. You emphasize the copy a lot. I think maybe the type hierarchy is a little bit reversed. It seems like the introductory copy is of a smaller font size than the bottom. But again, it's maybe a little too hard to see.
The blue one?
Here.
Or,
Here, this one to this one. But you have clear blocks, so the layout is, you know, definitely legible and readable.
Yeah,
for sure.
Exactly. Nice. So, code space, get involved.
One thing that I would note when it comes to you know, print is, you know, be conscious of how much one can read one sentence all the way through. Generally, our eyes and how we track left to right is not really just a steady stream. We kind of go all over the place.
Yeah.
And it's hard for us to snap back to the next line if it's really long to read and return back.
Yeah.
So that's something to consider as you move forward.
That's a really good point. Yeah.
Ooh,
Ooh,
past
this is
sponsors.
cool.
I guess this is all the
little-
things you can do with the packages if you're buying into this.
Nice. There's a lot of benefits, it seems. Yeah, this looks really good. Awesome job. Give you a like.
Excellent.
Yay. Let's take a look. I don't have anything negative really to say about that project. I think that looks really nice.
What is that a website there perhaps?
This one?
Yeah, oh, website 2.0.
Website 2.0. Let's look at this one.
Computer Society. Is that MIT? Is that MIT student branch?
MIT student branch.
VIT?
I think.
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either.
Okay, so because we both weren't sure,
Yeah.
that might be something you want to address.
Yeah.
Maybe it was a screenshot and it was an animation
Yeah.
right at a certain time and it was just caught there. But if it's intentional, I would say that I'm not sure if that is a V.
If that is a V or not.
Right. I
Let us know
actually
if you're in the
thought
chat.
it was MIT at first when I
Me
saw
too.
it.
When we build, it matters. Nice. Oh, so it's a 404 page.
Okay, so it's an error page.
Nice. I like how you included that because it's important to have something as an error page instead of the actual like
Yes.
broken link. That
Yes,
doesn't
no one
work.
likes that.
Yeah,
we're done with that. We're not in the 90s anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
I've seen 4.0 pages where they're like literally better than some of the content that the site has,
I know.
with like animated dogs or like.
Yeah, there's some really cool ones if you search 404 pages. Like GitHub has a lot of has a really nice one, and then I think Airbnb has a cool one. So I think it makes you stand out. Oh, someone said Karen says it's VIT. Thank you.
Oh, VIT. Okay.
Okay. So.
But I see, I like how they're using small little touches like teleport back, using tone.
Yeah.
Like there's a brand personality there that's connected. So I appreciate
I like
that
a lot instead of just go back. Nice. So it's an actual website too.
And with Behance, I think it's a really good opportunity to also tell the story of how you got to where you did, right?
Yeah.
Like maybe a couple iterations that got you here.
Yeah.
Just even sketches that kind of looked at the range and why you went down certain paths.
Yeah.
Because then, you know, unlike the Dribble or one of those sites,
Yeah.
this gives me kind of a complete narrative, and it kind of steps into your mind, your
thought process,
your thought process, your approach, your methodology.
Exactly.
And as someone who's reviewing a portfolio site, that's what I kind of key in and look for.
Yeah, it would be cool to see, all this maybe wireframes or sketches or maybe some explanations why you made these.
Who you collaborated with, you know, was this with stakeholders from marketing? Was this, or even if
like
it's
a concept project?
Even if it's concept, you know, try to build that narrative around it so it feels like you went through an exercise that was kind of vetted and tested.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so nice job. Let's see, should we do one more? This one kind of looks exciting to me.
Okay.
Maybe we can look at this one.
Ooh.
So this is another VIT thing.
I would love to know if created these illustrations because I dig the little Google
These-
Gear
yeah,
VR.
these are cool. So this is a newsletter for students and geeks who are interested in the ever-changing extravaganza. Nice.
All right.
Your name, email, subscribe, and enter giveaway. This is cool. Yeah.
I would say just be a little mindful as to where and how you want me to read. Like what does the progression look like, right, in the layout? And if I'm looking at the top, is that a heavier weight to lead me down to a secondary or tertiary element below? So, you know, those kind of balancing and weighting options in layout really help.
I also wonder if this might be like the introduction.
You're right, sorry.
Yeah, no, but I think because they're both white, it's kind of hard to tell.
Yes.
But maybe you can make, I don't know, a border or like a solid, like a block of color or something that kind of separates.
Intentional distinction.
Yeah,
right?
like you're introducing your project and then here is the page. So maybe adding space or something would help us differentiate that, but that looks really cool.
And I've noticed that there's a mix of both ragged and justified, where you have it full blocked. On the left, you have about CSI VIT, where it's block text. Like generally, that is harder to read than ragged.
Like, it's harder to skim through.
I mean, again, your choice for various reasons, but I would say you might want to look at a level of just consistency based off of that same execution.
Oh, this is so cute. I like how you included social media, so the user, they have multiple places they can go after this page, so they can subscribe and enter. They can go to the social media channels and follow, and so it's really important that you included that as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think overall the design is really nice too.
The color palette.
Yeah, the colors, the illustrations.
Actually, we're using a color very similar to that.
We are. Nice. Yeah, so awesome job. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
For submitting. I will follow you as well. Let's look at the next portfolio. This is from Paco Smith from Lehigh. Is that how you say it? Lehi? I don't know. Utah.
Not good at that.
Yeah, neither am I.
He says, I love making things. All right. Cool. Currently, I'm focusing on user experience
You've been a
design.
member since 2014. That's amazing.
All right.
Cool. I'll give you a follow. Let's see. You have a lot of projects also. So
yeah, you got branding. You got a lot of variety. You got some mobile applications. It seems web applications.
Yeah.
You even seem to have. Are you building
like an actual backpack? Let's look at this really fast.
Yes, because I like the backpack.
Yeah. Ooh, a felt backpack. That looks really nice.
So, kudos if you're making this.
Yeah.
All right.
Let us know if you made this.
Love the turntable.
Awesome. Yeah.
Just to see it from 360
view. Yeah, and you don't have to click on anything. You can just watch, which is nice. Ooh, and you can fit your laptop and everything. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Ooh. That's really cool.
So there really is a seemingly mix of different
types of
projects you're working on. To, I think, maybe a website or Behance Review.
Let's look at Behance
Behance Review. This is the meta within the meta.
Yeah.
All right.
This is.
Let's see what is going on.
So this is an intro. The goal of this project was to improve Behance in some way. Being able to review and be reviewed directly would be a better way to network and receive valuable feedback on projects. Nice. Well, it looks like we are reviewing Behance Review right now. Cool. So this is, I guess, a sample
of the changes being made.
Yeah. Activity.
What I definitely would recommend, especially when you're talking about redesign, is to establish it in context with what was designed.
Yeah.
So I have an A/B, and I have a nice way of understanding at a very high level what structural changes you're making, what content changes you're making, what are the information architecture changes you're making. That would be a really fantastic add to this piece. So before and after, you could even do something really crazy where it's like you could do a slider or you can do something like that.
That would be intense, but also cool. Yeah, so I think definitely just maybe making like a chart or something that where you add like I changed this because this, or maybe adding that underneath, but also you don't need to write too much.
Right.
Just a quick, maybe a sentence.
So I think this is the additional thing that's being focused on, is this like notes that people can add to a project.
Yeah, it's nice that you included it right next to it, because I think right now to comment you have to scroll all the way down, and it's like kind of towards the bottom and kind of hidden. So I think this is nice that you put it right here so that users would be more likely to comment if it's like right next to it, or they see it right away.
And those kind of things are really important. I believe like as soon as you establish a hypothesis you want to test, and you're saying this is what it was, this is what I propose, what do you expect to see from that? What do you think the result will eventually do to impact the success of this particular design? So then you have great going by someone, I guess, making the first comment.
Cool.
And then a series of different people.
Oh, I see. So you put check spacing. Oh, so you can, like, this is a comment to help them with their project.
Got it. Okay, okay.
So that's cool. I think that would be really cool if you can kind of...
That's a cool concept.
Paint or draw. I don't know how you would word it, but yeah, I think that's helpful.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Okay.
And a nice little thank you. That's always good to receive. Yeah.
Because, you know, anyone's taking time out to do something for you. You know, there's always, you know, kind of a reciprocal, you know, relationship you want to start to establish.
Yeah, this is awesome. Yeah, I think the only thing I would say is maybe like before and after, and then maybe a little bit more explanation of why you made these changes and what makes this an improved version versus how it is now. I think that would be really nice to read. In your project. Provide
as much context as possible. Don't assume people know where you've been in your journey to get where you are. Again, we're designers, we're in the habit of telling stories, and you know, we're empathy machines. We want to be able to extend that empathy to people who are like-minded, trying to tell their stories, and we draw all those kind of relationships deeper once we get that, right? Once we get those kind of signals that you're showing out there. So the more you can do of that, I think the better.
Yeah. Let's look at
one
this
more.
one.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
This one looks nice. Okay. Skidda.
Skidda.
So far I like the color a lot.
Color's nice.
Looks like
it's sky. It does connect with the sky.
It does. I like your icon. It's a modern neighborhood watch.
Okay.
So this is another redesign existing neighborhood watch app.
So this is kind of what we've been talking about, right? So you're doing it here where you set up kind of the premise, what the outcome was going to be from the design process you underwent.
Yeah, so this is nice. I like how you added this at the beginning. Ooh,
and so then we have a flow diagram.
Flow chart start. So I've never heard of Skidda, so I don't know what the app looks like.
Right.
And so
this seems like this, like, hey, has anyone seen this guy in this neighborhood kind of thing? So this is like, I guess, a neighborhood watch type of mechanism? Okay.
That's kind of scary. He came to my house today looking inside my cars.
Well, that's not good.
Yeah.
And I'm aware there's, you know, a handful of apps that do this kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And that's another thing to consider. We talked about this a little bit yesterday, which was, you know, in your process, it's also good to kind of make sure, but you don't always have to have it in your portfolio, but at the competition, how are you differentiated? And when you start to talk about it, you start to talk about it in those terms, like how am I not like everyone else, and what value am I providing because I'm not like them?
Exactly. Oh. So can you pinpoint this guy?
Maybe like a geofenced area? Maybe this is like a geofenced area is what I'm getting at these little quadrants.
Yeah. I think since you have this space right here, you could maybe explain a little bit about what's going on. I think that would be a little helpful for someone like me. I'm not familiar with this app, so I'm not sure what each screen might be, like what the purpose of each screen is. So I think a sentence or two would be helpful.
Absolutely. So now this looks like various camera feeds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like security camera footage.
And you're able to kind of just...
You can like upload it, I guess, maybe, or...
Watch them maybe,
these are your cameras.
These are your cameras. I can see my backyard, my front yard, and see in real time everything, right? Or play back in the past, maybe.
Oh, yeah. Cool. So I guess this is the profile of the user. Nice.
I always appreciate this kind of thing. The breakouts here, like, you know, showing the detailed work you did on the UI side. So outside of the UX and understanding the flow and the personas you're targeting and all that, it's also kind of just a little love to the elements, right? Like what you've done to polish and refine the pieces that are, you know, really, really important to the whole.
Yeah, I like this too.
So he's telling us what fonts you're using,
nice.
what primary colors, secondary colors.
Yeah, this is nice. I always like when people include this in their projects. In case I'm always curious what font people use, so I like to see that in the projects.
And this is basically, I guess, their
like
artboard.
Overview.
Yeah,
this is a lot of screens too. Yeah, this is awesome. I think I would just add what the app looks like now versus what you created. And looking at the different, like before and after.
Yeah.
I think that would be really valuable, maybe at the end, just to show like, this is all the things I changed.
Right.
And so someone can get a quick overview.
And if it was a new concept or new app, make that, you know, definitely clear in the premise. And maybe we overlooked it because we didn't read everything.
Yeah.
we are on the time, right?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. But awesome job. I think you have a lot of great projects and you're really talented by making like actual objects. Like
exactly.
backpacks.
I might be hitting you up on that particular felt backpack. Looks
yeah,
sweet.
I know. It looks cool. Is it for sale?
Is it for sale?
Let us know.
So someone say yes right now, right?
Yeah. So awesome job. Thank you for submitting your portfolios. And then if your portfolio did not get chosen during our stream, you can submit it during the next stream with Howard and Michael, and then they can review you. So. Yeah, thank you again for everyone. We can switch back to your screen. We have a few minutes left, so maybe you can do like a quick wrap up. Or
we'll do a quick wrap up here. So we went down this process of really trying to simplify data and remove the complexity in a way that allows onboarding someone to kind of build a profile of intent around who they are. So, you know, from the point, and I'll go ahead and kind of zoom in here, we kind of said at the desktop we're starting there because principally these type of applications are at the desktop level, less than like the mobile. We identified the persona that we wanted to specifically hone in on, the end business user versus someone who was, let's say, a data scientist or a analyst, a business analyst. And we had a couple of principles up front that we established. And of course, this could be really informed by a lot more research you would do priorhand, competitive analysis and teardowns. You want to make sure you go through a thoughtful, vetted process as you go down the design path. And so we started to kind of key on a couple things. One is the ability. I'm just going to turn on the ability to see everything here. To log in and get started right away with the question that's most important, like what is your daily role and responsibilities? And so those responsibilities are going to help us understand that the app understand, oh, what kind of data you might want to and what kind of interest and level of engagement we're going to expect from you, right? Like if I'm someone in sales versus a marketer, those are different people, different types, right? Different user types. So here in this particular instance, we elected a researcher. And here we have the system giving you feedback. So now you have the means to choose the researcher if you choose, make that selection. And now we have the animation come in to say, well, the next step we need to know is like what type of data in the research-minded field that you are personally interested. So here we selected climate data, and now we're able to make that selection as well. And we are using two very common metaphors to help beyond the onboarding process. We've now dropped you into already a homepage that's going to be really about pinboards or reports and answers that are going to be really related to you, because it's all, you know, climate, weather, science are related. But we use two constructs. One was a kind of Google-esque metaphor where I can simply, now that you know a lot about me and the data source that I'm interested in, I can just ask you for what I want. If you didn't do that up front, you have no means of really having the system do that for you because it's going to be highly complicated. It's going to be really complicated. And so we also then looked at having a trigger for voice for the search. So if I were to tap on the search and use voice, it was, now that I'm going to forget again.
Snow pattern?
Snowfall.
Snowfall in Alaska.
Yeah. Snowfall in Alaska. Boom.
Yay.
And now that I have all those inputs already aligned to my profile, I'm given a result that's in a visualized form that is, I am illuminating the differences of snowfall trends in Alaska. Denali mountain range from a certain range, 2017 to 2018, because that's all we have.
Yeah.
We talked about the importance of selecting the right type of pattern. Essentially, a drop down or a calendar would be one we would elect if we had more nuanced data or if we had a lot more years of data, for instance, right? One of the assumptions here is that we only have 2 years of report, and we want to see trends that are looking at real big outliers. So I want to be able to see the differences rather than like incremental differences. All to keep it very simple. So at a glance, I can literally just say, okay, yeah, this is what I want. I want to be able to see what's the difference between this whole year in 2017 to what it was in 2018. And at a glance, I can literally just see that there was a significant drop off in snow between those 2 years.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. This is such a great app, and you did an awesome job.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah, we were so excited to have you with us this week.
It was really fun to be back.
Yeah.
This was, this first time we were kind of stepping into more of an enterprise space versus a consumer-friendly space.
And data is tough to design, so you did an awesome job. Yeah. So
Thank you.
Everyone.
It was fantastic.
Oh, thank
your
you.
host was
Everyone go
so
follow
great.
Daniel on Behance or any other.
Behance
social
will be,
media.
yes, exactly
Behance,
the place to find me.
Definitely, yeah. And thank you everyone in the chat for joining us again. Be sure to stick around for the next stream with Michael and Howard. And we will see you next time.
See you next time.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.